let's do it.
Okay, with Patchin from Brooklyn, The Bargain is the short film played at the Horror Film Festival. He's the writer, director, but you're also in the film too, right?
Yes, that's correct. I play a small role in the film, but
At the beginning
yes,
of the
I'm
film,
mainly the writer director.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
the ginger hair gave you away. So,
I guess I'm pretty recognizable, but unless someone else has red hair, then nobody can tell us apart. But
is that true?
it has happened. I've worked jobs with other people who have red hair, and other than that, I don't think we look anything alike, and people get us mixed up, which is very interesting. But hey, whatever.
It happens. All right, so this is, I guess, this is a revenge film. The consequences of revenge is the thematic, and it's kind of literally making a deal with the devil. That's what your film's about, I guess, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I was really focused on trying to make a revenge thriller, and I loved the idea of a Faustian bargain because I don't know, to me, in all walks of life, revenge, I'm always surprised, even on a petty level, with like people who you disagree with at work, or maybe like you're having a little disagreement with a brother or sister. People are very willing to go out of their own way and hurt themselves in some regard to get what they want. It's like, I'm going to prove a point, and I don't care what it does to me, but I will prove a point to you that this happened. So I was super focused on like finding a way to really take that idea and bring it to the extreme of a Faustian bargain and doing some horrible things with the devil.
So pride is one of the deadly sins, right? So that's basically what you're talking about.
Absolutely, pride, yeah, and I think there's some old like saying like if you seek revenge, you better dig two graves or something like that. And it feels pretty accurate. For better or worse, the people I know in life who don't hold grudges just seem to be things seem to be going well. They just forget about it and move on. And obviously there are times where people deserve consequences, but the people that can just let it go, they seem to have it made. It seems like a lot of it seems like a better way to live.
Yeah, you like to think so, right?
Yeah.
We're doing this podcast in middle of October 2014. So there's a certain guy running for president who seems like to hold grudges and who would want revenge as well, right? So
Yeah, it's an interesting way to be, and I can't say it's the best. And obviously, I think the fine line in life is figuring out like what's revenge and what's just people like it's the difference between like revenge and justice. Like obviously there are times where like there need to be consequences for certain things people do. But there's other times where it's like, hey, you're just holding on to this and it's only affecting you. Like sometimes it's not about the consequences to the other person, sometimes it's about what it does to you. And I think with this script, the whole idea was that, this is a person who deserves consequences. He's a bad guy. He's done
yeah,
terrible things. Um, and really, the story, I was trying to find an escalated way to show that both things were true, that this is a person that needs consequences, but also what it's doing to Ruth and like how it's eating up her and what she's willing to give up to get what she believes she deserves is it's it's pretty crazy.
yeah. There's
It's
there's a
dangerous
couple
stuff,
interesting
revenge.
elements because you're talking about revenge in a negative context, of course, right? That's what your film's about. But obviously, there's
Absolutely,
been
yeah.
hundreds of films made about a revenge film, right? Where it's a good thing, right? There basically it's been the ideology is that, oh, you killed my wife, so I'm gonna band together and destroy everybody around you. And then as an audience, we cheer that on, right? So
Absolutely. And I definitely still wanted that to happen. Like the her foster father in the short film, Mr. He's a heinous man.
yeah,
I feel like everybody is pretty on board with getting rid of this guy. I just think I think it's an element of like revenge stories that I feel like two things can be true. Like so especially I've like there are some great revenge thrillers like Park Chan-wook comes to mind. He's got like his whole revenge trilogy and it's incredible. But sometimes people forget the fact that like, hey, even if this person deserves it, sometimes what you're doing is going to affect you as well. Like if you're willing to go to these dark places and do this horrible thing to someone,
yeah.
it might be necessary, but it's going to affect you too. You're not going to walk away unscathed. And so that's what I was trying to get that point across, especially with the end of our
Gotcha.
movie, which is pretty
No,
dark.
it's a great idea for a film. So what is your experience making like short films? Like what's your before this one?
Yeah, so this was my second short film. Um, I have another one that we just got done with, which we're about to submit to festivals and do the circuit there. But yeah, it's my second short film, all in different genres, but I just got super focused on this idea of a revenge thriller, and I was trying to figure out a fun way to talk about like the idea of evil or have a fun portrayal of the devil. And yeah, it'd been kicking around up there a while, and then once I thought of the ending, I knew that I had to make it and I had to finish the thing.
So then how did like what how did you get every it's funny because your cinematographer's name on the credits it says Matthew Canada. And my name is
Yes, yeah.
Matthew and I'm Canadian, so but I didn't do your film. So
No, no. As far as I know, he's not Canadian, but his last name is Canada.
yeah.
Yes, he's a very talented guy. He's a New York based. I'm not sure if he's bi-coastal, but he's, as far as I know, New York based and very talented cinematographer. I've worked with him 3 times now. A great guy. Hopefully, going to keep working with him forever because he's very talented.
Because there's a lot of like dark shadows, like there's a lot of like you got to make sure that there's a focal point even with the faces. Like this is not a not you got to make sure the lighting is sound, I guess. Right? Like it's the best way to put it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we it was very moody. We had a very clear like tone and
Yeah.
style we were going for. And we were on the same page right away. It's with stuff like that, it's just all about execution. And I in some ways like maybe I pushed it a little too dark visually, but I really was trying to walk the line of like how much shadow can we get in here? How much can like Ruth be swallowed up by the shadows and still have something people will see on screen? But we were definitely trying to push the limit of how dark we could get visually.
And where did you find your lead actors?
So my two leads, I got very lucky with my two leads, Leanna Gartella, who played Ruth, and Michael David Wilson, who played the devil. We had been doing like black box theater in like 2018. I met them years ago in New York, and just two super talented people, fantastic to work with, very good friends. And so I knew them for years, and I knew how incredible they were. And thankfully, when I sent them the script, they were both interested because if they didn't agree to do it, the casting process would have been a nightmare. I knew right away once the script was done, these are the two people I want. And if I don't get them, it's going to be very challenging. But they were great. They were super on board right away, and they made my job a lot easier.
And so the Leanna was the played Ruth, and you said Michael David Wilson, right? Was the double?
Yes, the devil. Yes, absolutely.
And so then the like what 70-80% of the film is that scene, right? So talk about
Uh-huh.
that scene like we were talking about lighting, you have to use like you have the candles. They're both sitting down, kind of like you have like some like above shots. You have like there's a lot. It seems like there's a lot of coverage when you're shooting this film.
There was, yeah. In the pre-production process, I mean, we were worried. Obviously, we believed in the script and we believed in the performers, but we knew an extended portion of the short film was gonna be in this warehouse in this two-person conversation. So we were trying to find interesting shots we could play with and interesting ideas we could reveal in the through the cinematography specifically, just to keep it visually interesting. Because we knew at some point, if it's just two people in profile talking to each other for 4 straight minutes, I think I wrote a decent script and I believe it in my actors, but there's a chance the audience will start to be like, okay,
Yeah,
I get what's going on here. So, and some of those shots, just talking through with my cinematographer, like he came with the idea of we called it the hell shot of shooting through the floor up to the devil, speaking that way.
yeah.
But yeah, we were trying to find different elements of the story we could reveal through the cinematography specifically, just to keep just to keep it visually interesting and not use the same
But you're
close
not
up every
moving the
time.
camera either, right? You're keeping it still.
Pretty still, yeah. We have like a few um crane shots or jib shots, I should
Yeah.
say, and we have a couple dolly shots, but it's very still, very locked off. The goal was to keep it kind of objective, I guess, and sort of outside the character's individual experiences as much as possible. And the only specifically I wanted to keep it that way. So at the very end, for that last shot where I went handheld, when she comes back from them experiencing the death, it was slightly more jarring since we hadn't done it yet in the film. So it was really specifically trying to withhold certain elements. So if I used them at the end, they were more impactful.
Gotcha. And so then you said you mentioned the ending. I don't want to give anything away, but you mentioned the ending, and you said that as soon
Yeah.
as I knew the ending, then I knew the film.
Yeah, I knew I had to make it. Yeah, it was definitely there was a version of the idea kicking around for a while, and I wasn't quite sure if it worked. I knew I was passionate about it, but it wasn't. I knew it was missing something. And then once I figured out how I wanted the ending to go, I knew right away. I was like, well, now I have to make it. And boy, do I have just the two people I want to bring on board. So
Yeah. So there's a scene where like it's I think it's one shot and you do like you said you do move the camera in that scene, which is a great effect because it's after the you called it the whatever they were the two-person scene where it's very still,
Mhm.
very dark. It's like a kind of a competition between the two of them, and then you have it's like one shot, right? The quote unquote fight scene, I guess I could call it, is one shot.
Absolutely, yes. Yes, that's correct. Yes, that was also very intentional. I after all of the, especially with like the bargain between the devil, a lot of the cinematography was very reserved, very objective. For the fight scene, I wanted you to be trapped more with the character in the fight itself. So I wanted to keep it all one shot. I wanted to get pretty close and sort of draw you in. And then also in sort of I sort of wanted excuse me, inherently, once you start to do a little bit of a wonder and the take goes on a little longer, the audience sort of has expectations about what happens next. So specifically, I wanted this like very visceral, drawn out fight and that feels horrible. And then the wonder ends and you think everything is done, but and not to give it too much away, but something else happens and
No, no,
hopefully
but how did you do?
the audience is not
What I
ready
call
for
it
it.
the fire scene.
Yes, the fire scene. Yeah.
How did you pull that off?
Um, it was super challenging. It honestly, it took just as much prep, if not more prep, than any other scene. So we did not have real fire on set. Um,
It sure looked
specifically
like it.
because it looked very good. That was a huge. We had a great VFX guy, Michael Squid, who helped us out, but also part of the big part of what makes it works is working with my cinematographer is because fire is a light source, we had to light the location as if there was a fire there. So, she's sitting in that tub, there's lights all around her that are ready to go at the right moment. And so all of the light you see coming from the fire is really there on set. And then we just in post-production add the flames to add it in.
No,
It took
it's a
a
good little insight because it's like you have to. It's like talking fourth dimensionally, meaning that you're lighting for something that's not there, but then you know that you're going to put it there in post production. This is the new way of filmmaking,
yeah,
right? So
absolutely. I think that's an element of VFX that sometimes, especially on the indie level, people sometimes forget about is that if you're dealing with something that would affect lighting or
yeah,
shadow or like the audience, if they see it, they might not understand why it doesn't look real,
yeah,
but they would eventually get to the point where it's like, oh, this thing that you have is not producing light. There is no light coming from it. And so whether or not they can verbally articulate that, it just doesn't feel right. So if you can combine all the physical reactions of the VFX thing with the post-production effects, you get a much more, it feels more truthful to the audience, I feel like.
it's very like I said, it's very. What did the actress think when she saw the film? Like she's on like that. She must have loved it.
I mean, yes, she was very pleased with the final product. And she was great to work with. I was putting her through her paces. She was doing a lot of stunts. I was
Yeah.
pouring tea on her for the gasoline. I was really putting her through it a little bit, but Leanne is just a joy to work with and super talented. She right away she got where we were going with this project, and She nailed it. I couldn't be
Because
happier with
that fight
my
scene where,
performance.
which is great for a reel, but it's one like you said, it's one shot and there's a knife. It's like there's physicality with a man, like or multiple. Like
Yeah.
this is a tough scene. Like how many takes did you do? You remember how many takes you did?
I believe I want to say in the neighborhood of 10. So we had a rehearsal day for that beforehand.
Yeah,
And and I should say for starters, the two men in the fight scene are both my friends. They're seasoned stunt performers.
yeah.
Leanna in her own right
I
is
was gonna say, isn't she
she
on her
she
website? She's a stunt performer too, right?
she's 100. She's a stunt performer.
Yeah,
She's a fight choreographer, fight
yeah.
coordinator. She was the coordinator for this fight as well,
Okay.
in addition to performing it. But I only was able to shoot the scene that way because of their talent and the people on the team. If like my lead had less fight experience than she did, or if I couldn't get my two like stunt buddies to come and do this project with me, we would have had to shoot it a different way because it just wouldn't have been safe. We we did 10 takes of it, but if with less experienced people, we would have needed 20 maybe or two additional rehearsal days. It wouldn't have been possible without their skill level. But I knew coming in the people we were bringing on board, and I knew how proficient they were. So it was a big ask, but I knew it was possible. But without them, we would have had to shoot it completely differently. The winner would have not happened.
She's not only a great actor, she's a bit of a badass too.
She is absolutely a badass.
Yeah.
She's multi-talented. She can do everything. She's going places for sure.
Yeah, like you could just you can go to her website and it's pretty fantastic. The things that she's
Oh,
done.
yeah. Oh, she's the best. I mean, hopefully, hopefully she's not sick of me yet, and she'll work with me on every single thing I do. So she's the best.
So then the film's doing pretty well. It's getting into festivals. I think you got in the Holly was it Big Apple Film Festival. I'm sure you're from Brooklyn. I'm sure you went there to see it.
Absolutely, yeah. So we premiered last year at Big Apple. Very fun. Great hometown premiere for us, which
Yeah.
is all of our crew and cast, were in town, which was great. And then we just got back last weekend from Telluride Horror Show in Colorado, and that was sort of like the end of our festival run for now. We'll see what happens, but for now, that's the end of our festival run, and it was a great finish. We had an incredible experience there as well. Got to bring Leanna and Kat, our fantastic producer, out to that and we had a great time.
So we brought the audience to you in our festival. What did you think what our audience had to say about your film?
Oh my gosh, that was well, one, they were all very kind and very nice. I'm happy that it resonated with them, and that was experience for me. No one had ever sent me like a reaction video for the movie. Anytime before that, it's just been like, oh, my aunts and uncles love it. Great. But but seeing all these people and I was so happy. Like they were very kind, some great reactions, and I love that given no context, clearly they got what we were going for. And so it was great to see that, oh, everything that we thought the film was accomplishing, the audience members agreed with, and it was very exciting. It's very fun.
So what are you up to now? What are you going to make another film?
Yeah, so we just got done with my latest short film. It's called Wendy and the Lost Boy. It's sort of a modern adaptation of Peter Pan. Just wrapping up post-production, and we're submitting to festivals right now, preparing for the upcoming festival season. And outside of that, a couple ideas in the works, but nothing ready yet. So we'll see how it goes. But
You
I'm
also
eager to get
actor.
back on a set.
Do you also actor?
I do. So initially, I don't act as much as I used to. Initially, I got into the industry because I wanted to be a performer. I loved acting, and acting is still fun. I play a decent part in my latest short film as well. And
Okay.
the craft of acting is great. I have a great time, but the older I've gotten, the more I love the behind the camera stuff. So I'll still play a role here or there just because I don't have to pay myself and it keeps the budget down. Um, but in general, I'm hoping to stick behind the camera and just hire all my talented friends.
Are you originally from New York?
No, so I'm from North Carolina originally.
Oh, gotcha. So basically, but I guess you're not going anywhere. You're staying there.
No, I love the city. It got me. I'm hoping to stick around in New York.
Well, on that note, congratulations on this film. I thought it was great, and let's talk again when you make your next film.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Matthew. Pleasure to meet you.